Hey there, friends. Dave Paulides, Canadian Missing Project, copyrighted edition for our video channel. Thanks for being here. And this is a missing person only segment. So, you get to see me talking about missing people. So, thank you for being here very much. A couple of housekeeping things. On the website you're looking at now, YouTube, there's some cretin that's out there poaching on you. I hate it. They'll put a comment below comments of yours on this YouTube page. If you look at the page, bottom left, down below, there's going to be comments. You can comment there. If you click on our Canada Missing logo on the bottom left, it'll take you to all of our videos. But if you look at the comments, this person never leaves a number one comment. He'll always reply to somebody. And he has a logo that's essentially our logo, but he has a Telegram account and he wants you to go to it and he's trying to steal your money. This person, the last video we posted a couple days ago, he posted 50 responses to other people's comments. That's how much time this piece of garbage has to try to poach on victims. He can't figure out a way to make a living himself, so he's going to try to steal from other people. That's why I became a policeman. I hate those people. I hate them. So, if you see a Can-Am logo and it says anything about a Telegram account, or last time he said, "Oh, God bless you, you're so important," all this other stuff that, you know, he's lying about, just stay away from it and ignore it. I know about it. We've got a couple people here that are scanning our comments daily and taking his down. But apparently he has so much time in the basement of his mom's house to do these kind of things because he doesn't have a real job, obviously, but for what it is. Another thing. Missing 411, the UFO connection. Thank you for watching it. At the MontanaCon, when I got up to speak, I always ask wherever I'm at, hey, how many people watched it? Unbelievable. Like 95% watched it. Thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. A lot of people don't know you can buy a DVD of that or Blu-ray from me at our website, NA, like North America, BigfootSearch.com. That's our own online store. We have all of our books, periodicals available. All of our books, Missing 411, that you may see on Amazon between $50 and $150 on our website, $25. And those are not us selling on Amazon. Those are resellers ripping you off. And I've eliminated about 25 resellers over the year from figuring them out. And they always deny it. Oh, it's not us. It's not us. We're doing this for other people, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right. So I do try to protect you guys. I don't want people to be victimized. I'm sorry when it happens. But that's our website. Missing person website is canammissing.com, like Canadian American, canammissing.com. And this is important, really important, you guys. I have a Twitter account. I'm going to show it to you. It's my Twitter account. David Paulides at Can-Am Missing. I post on there almost every day. And I really would like you guys to jump on board because Twitter is not what it was years ago. Trust me. What I posted the other day, and this is a really cool one, is Alaska State Troopers were patrolling the inner islands of Alaska. These troopers come along and they find two deer kind of swimming near each other in the middle of nowhere. I mean, they're miles and miles from the nearest island. So they pull their boat up alongside and the deer get on and they cuddle up in the corner of the boat. And the troopers kept them on the boat for a while so they could warm up. And then they drove them to one of the bigger islands and let them off. Thank God the troopers were there. If they hadn't been there, the deer would have frozen to death, no doubt. But my better question is, how did they get there? I'm just saying, how did two deer get in the middle of nowhere between two huge islands in Alaska? Yeah, you could say, well, yeah, they were probably swim between islands. Okay, yeah, right, sure, maybe. But I'm always thinking about mutilated cows being taken and deer being taken, and that's horrible. But and then another new article came up the other day, and this was on outdoor life. This is really an important one, you guys. And if you live anywhere near Florida and you're a hunter, pay close attention. This is published this year in June. Florida's first recorded case of chronic wasting disease. The roadkill deer was picked up and deposited and tested. A 4.5-year white-tailed doe has been confirmed as Florida's first recorded case of chronic wasting disease. A press release from Florida Fish and Game said, a vehicle struck and killed the doe in Holmes County, which is in the Florida Panhandle on the Alabama border. The time of the collision is unknown, but the state announced its findings on June 15th. Florida is the 31st state to confirm the presence of always fatal neurological disease. It's prion disease. The FWC has been surveilling free-range deer for CWD since 2002. They tested an estimated 17,500 of the deer that were either killed or road-killed or sick. Neighboring Alabama first recorded cases of CWD that cropped up in 2020-2021 hunting season in Lauderdale County. Interestingly, Lauderdale is the northwesternmost county in the state, lying roughly 330 miles away from Holmes County, Florida. And so far, no Alabama deer tested positive for CWD outside that zone. The Georgia Department of Natural Resources also issued a press release about Florida's discovery. Georgia has yet to record its first case of CWD. It's been testing since 2002. This means the disease traveled hundreds of miles without being detected. The next closest cases of CWD were in Warren and Lafayette counties in Mississippi and in the Tensas Parish of Louisiana. All these places are 380 miles away from the tested doe. Here's what I say about that. And I've been right every time. If a deer tests positive in the Panhandle in Florida, you can almost guarantee that there's infected deer everywhere within 500 miles of that, at least. And it's just a matter of time before they start showing up positive. Here's what I need to tell you. Every state website about chronic wasting disease will say, do not eat the infected meat. Do not. And then the next line says, nobody's ever been affected by infected meat, but just don't eat it. They said the same thing in Europe about mad cow disease. Mad cow disease is a prion disease. Chronic wasting disease is a prion disease. Pay attention. If you're a hunter, you're an idiot if you eat anything anywhere in any of these states. I don't care if there's no chronic wasting disease discovered there or not. Get it tested and your state will test it for free. But we have it here in Montana, and every hunter I know is getting it tested. And I tell you this because chronic wasting disease is a very strange disease. How it got here is very strange. It's so resilient to being, it's not a bacteria, so you can't kill it. It's a prion disease, P-R-I-O-N. Research it and educate yourself. Now, let's get on to the missing persons cases. First case happens in the Mendocino National Forest in Northern California. I spent a lot of time in my 20s up there, and I spent it on the coast, abalone diving, skin diving for abalone. Yeah, it was dangerous, and yeah, they have great white sharks looming right off the coast. but still, I always did it. But this case, Marion Trobaugh, Trobaugh. You look that up, and they say it's a spelling of a German name. So this could be a German case. And he disappeared August 9th, 53 in Hull Mountain, Hull, in southern Mendocino County. Now, Marion's wife died 3 years earlier. And they were both longtime residents of Stockton, California, quite a distance from where this happened. Stockton's in the valley south of Sacramento. He was earlier in his life, he was a police officer in Stockton. Earlier than that, he was a veteran of the Spanish-American War. After Stockton police, he joined Santa Fe Railroad as an investigator, where he retired. After his wife passed away, he moved in with his nephew, a man named B.J. Trobaugh, who lived in Oakland, California. And both Marion and his nephew were longtime hunters and lovers of the outdoor. Understandable. It was reported late in this event that Marion might have a heart issue. Okay, good thing to know. I would have liked to have known that. But on August 9th, Marion went with his nephew and two other of his friends to an area of Hull Mountain north of Lake Pillsbury, California. Now, if you're a person in California, you're going to know this. If you're not, pay attention. Here's Clear Lake. It's a big lake, and it's nothing but clear. It's a dirty, algae-filled lake. I've water skied there many times, but I don't like it. This is Upper Clear Lake. And then all of this is Lake County. This is Lake Pillsbury. And then this is Hull Mountain, right south of Chipmunk Springs. Hull Mountain is the borderline between Lake County and Mendocino County. And this disappearance involved both locations. So Marion went with his nephew and a couple of buddies, and they established a camp at Chipmunk Springs. But they had to walk into that camp. And as they were walking in, Marion started to lag behind. He knew the route, he'd been there before. Trail was very well known, quite elaborate. Can't miss it. And his nephew said, "Hey, it's so many miles ahead. We'll meet you there. We'll wait for you." He said, "Okay." So the younger people plowed ahead, left Marion behind. So a friend of mine who was with MUFON, who was a writer, wrote a story called "Don't Be Last in Line." Now in this case, Marion was last in line. This was also Point of Separation, where he disappeared. This has happened too many times to even count. So when Marion didn't get there at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, everyone goes out and starts searching. They come back in a couple hours, and one of the guys says, "Hey, we ought to go notify Lake County Search and Rescue." That was the closest ranger station. So one of the guys left. They kept searching through the night. The next day, searchers from Lake County arrived and soon realized that it happened right on the Mendocino border. And they notified the Mendocino County Sheriff. So Lake County that first day had 10 searchers on scene and 4 canines that were divvied up onto that whole mountain area to search. Now Mendocino County was called, and they immediately sent up 4 planes as part of their air posse unit. That's a great assist. Most counties don't have that many planes in an air posse, so that was, I read that, I was impressive. Now what they went up is they went up at dusk and flew for 3 hours in the dark. And what they were looking for is a campfire somewhere that they couldn't account for. And that area gets real hot. Not a lot of huge trees, a lot of brush, small timber. And if there's a fire there, you'll be able to see it at night. August 11th, Mendocino County Sheriff Paulides, he came to the scene and helped out. The Lake County Sheriff sheriff's name was Anthem. And he put 8 men and 4 bloodhounds and also got the Civil Air Patrol to help. And he also got U.S. Forest Service personnel to assist. Now, Lake County didn't have an air posse like Mendocino County, so they used the Civil Air Patrol. I've stated dozens of times, the Civil Air Patrol is one of the best search and rescue organizations on the planet. And those men and women volunteer their time and their planes to help save lives, and you cannot ask for more than that. So the articles of the time, one of them stated, entitled, Bloodhounds on the Trail. There was a group of ground pounders that were on a place called Elk Creek, and they saw what appeared to be somebody tried to go up a steep side of the embankment and couldn't make it. Well, they knew Marion was 77 years old. He was in good shape, but he supposedly had a heart trouble. They also saw that he didn't make it up this embankment, and this person, or whoever it was, went upstream. So they took the dogs and they went as far as they could, and it was almost midnight, and they decided to pull back, go back to camp and reorganize. And they were fairly certain that this was Marion's trail. That's what the paper said. So August 13th, they took out 50 people into this area and 3 dog teams, and they worked it all day. They lost the trail of the person walking upstream. The scent trail ended, and they had nothing. That was Elk Creek. For the next 3 days, both Lake and Mendocino County had a combined total of over 75 people out looking for Marion. Now, they knew that he was older. They knew that he wasn't fast. They knew that he probably had some heart issues. And with all that, they didn't think he could travel very far. So they were trying to emphasize within that first 2 to 3 mile radius of where he disappeared, which made a lot of sense. Well, how far can a small sheriff's office continue? Lake County is a small sheriff's department. Mendocino County is a large county without enough people to patrol that entire area. It's huge. And they don't have enough deputies either. So when these events happen, they deplete the sheriff's office of resources in a huge way and drain their account right away as well, because they got to pay these guys overtime to go out and search. So this went on until the 18th of August. He disappeared on the 9th. So he had over a week of searching. Sheriff Broadus made a statement on the 18th that everything humanly possible has been done by both counties in an effort to find Marion. He said that they put jeeps into the far reaches of the mountains. They had ground pounders searching everywhere imaginable. They had over 8 different bloodhound teams that combed the county for 8 days. And they had at least 5 airplanes that were committed to looking day and night. He said, I don't know what else we could have done. Well, that makes a lot of sense, because I don't know what else could have been done. So let's think about this. Marion was last in line. There was that point of separation. He's very close to one of the few bodies of water within 100 miles of that area. They lost the tracks next to a creek, and he's a subgroup of hunters. Now, this area that he disappeared in, surprisingly, not that many disappearances. And I went back and looked a long way, and I still can't find many in this area. A few, but not many. So he's also one of the few former policemen that I've ever written about that disappeared. Very odd. Very odd. So that's Marion Trobaugh. Next case. A man named Tom Owens. This is Tom. Tom was a friendly sort. Everyone liked him. 49 years old. He went missing October 28th, 1947. near Milton, Milton, California. You say, Dave, I've never heard of Milton. Well, makes two of us because I lived in California most of my life. I never heard of Milton. Now, you might have heard of Copperopolis. I've heard of that. And it's in Calaveras County, California, which is the head of the big jumping frog contest. So it kind of gives you an idea, and I'll show you a map in a second. But Tom was recovering from a brief illness, according to his family, and he was a longtime cook from Stockton, California. I know this is weird. Both these stories kind of have a Stockton connection. Well, Lawrence McAdams owned a cabin north of Copperopolis and west of Angels Camp. And it was in a remote location, and he knew his buddy Tom was recovering. So Lawrence offered to have Tom use the cabin while he got better. Makes sense. Nice friend. So here you go. This is Copperopolis, California, right here. Here's Angels Camp, Calaveras County Airport, Valley Springs, California, Oak Grove, California. This area right here is very remote. It can get super hot in the summer. It's not my idea of fun. Let's put it that way. Fowler Peak Fire Lookout is right there. You got it. So this was a remote place. And on October 25th, Tom followed Lawrence to the cabin, settled in. Lawrence told him that the cabin and the property was for sale, so he might have some realtors stopping by. Tom said, "Yeah, that's not an issue." Tom brought a rifle, supplies, a dozen eggs, some clothes. Thought he'd stay somewhere between 5 and 7 days. This is remote. There's no phone service out there. There was no nothing. The family didn't expect to hear from Tom for 7 or 8 days. But on October 28th, a realtor is bringing clients to Lawrence's cabin. And they get there and windows are open, doors unlocked. Nobody's there. They called around. Nobody answered. They looked around. It didn't appear as though anyone had been there for a couple of days. So the realtor called Lawrence and explained to him, "I don't think you want to leave your cabin unlocked and open like this." So Lawrence drives up from his house in Manteca. He doesn't want to raise alarm to Tom's family until he figures out what's going on. So he gets up there, looks around, determines that Tom probably hadn't been there in a couple days, looks in the garbage, and notices that 2 of the dozen eggs have been eaten. So what can you surmise by that? My guess is that Tom arrived on October 25th, woke up the morning of the 26th, made himself breakfast, and something happened. So Lawrence looks around, doesn't get anything, goes down into the lower part of the county and notifies the family that Tom is missing and maybe they should come up. Well, the family lived in Stockton, so they all saturated the area within hours. They got there, stayed there, and they searched for 3 days. They couldn't find anything. And they had about 8 people there, including Lawrence. They were ready to give up, and they decided that they better call the sheriff. So on October 31st, the Calaveras County Sheriff's Office was notified. And they sent their posse, their horseback posse, into the area. Now, from November 1st through November 5th, there were ground pounders and a horse posse that covered a large radius around the cabin. Now, many times these searches are fruitless and you don't find anything. But let's remember something. Tom was getting over an illness, and a lot of people that disappear have something wrong. Congenital disease, illness, sickness, something. Now, he was sick and he was recovering. Any rational thought that he was going to walk miles from the cabin wasn't rational. He was there to recover. So they were looking just around the cabin, and they thought, well, maybe he's sick, maybe he just died and fell over and was right near here. And they kept covering the same area. But the posses did find something quite a ways from the house, almost 2 miles away. They found Tom's sweater and his cap 2 miles from the cabin. They showed these to Tom's family, and they confirmed those were his. Now let me tell everyone this. When you're a man, it gets hot, I take off my shirt all the time when I'm in the woods. Take off my sweater for sure. Take off your hat? I don't think so. I don't think men take off hats very often. Just my own personal opinion. I'm a man, I could have it. So they find a hat and the sweater. So they intensely start looking around this area because they figure out he's got to be right here. But they don't find anything. So they kept moving out and out. So they covered an area a 2 mile radius from the sweater and the hat. Found nothing. Well, after 5 days of searching, Calaveras County gave up. The family eventually gave up. During the next year, 1948, the family went up there several times and privately searched, couldn't find anything. Then 5 years after Tom disappeared, there was a big ranch up in this area called the Ward, W-A-R-D, Ward Ranch. And one of their cowboys was working a ravine, looking for a lost cattle, and he came across a human skull down at the bottom of a ravine. He knew something was wrong. So at the end of the day, he reported it to Calaveras County Sheriff's. The following day, he took the sheriffs back into the area. And the sheriff spent a day and a half searching the area around that skull for bones, evidence of whatever happened. There was no bullet hole in the skull. There's no obvious signs of death on the skull. But they couldn't find the lower jaw of the skull. All they had was the skull itself and the upper area of the mouth. And that upper area didn't have any teeth in it. Now, I can tell you that teeth don't stay in a skull if it's bouncing around. If it's at the bottom of a ravine, maybe it was in a small creek and maybe it did get bounced around. But what they did say is that there were no teeth in that upper skull. And just as a matter of fact, when they reported Tom missing, they reported that he didn't have any upper teeth. But they also stated that this was found 1.5 miles from where the sweater and the cap were found. That's quite a distance. I'm just saying, it's quite a distance from where the sweater and the cap are found to where the skull is found. Now let's go back to 1947 when he disappeared and gold rush days. So this area was really a hotbed of gold rush activity in the 18 and early 1900s. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people up there in this area that died, and their skulls might still be up there. Now, 1947 dental hygiene, again, wasn't what it is today. And we also did not have DNA testing like we have today. There wouldn't be any guessing now. I mean, they'd take the skull, they'd send it to DNA testing, and you'd know within a month who this belonged to. If the match was in NAMS. N-A-M-U-S, yes, NAMS. Now, there was never anything conclusive to say this was Tom's back then. But you have to ask yourself the question, why did Tom leave the cabin? Was there something unusual he heard or saw outside? And then what would cause him, or did he himself move from the point where the sweater and the hat were found to to where the skull was found. Now, there's a lot of bears in this area, granted that. So post-death predation is a possibility. And it is possible that animals would carry that pieces of bones and body quite a distance. Quite a 1.5 mile distance? I don't know if an animal would carry a head that far. It's possible, but I don't know. So the disappearance of Tom Owens to me is a real mystery. And it was to his family. And I don't think by finding this anonymous skull solved anything. Again, if it was today, yeah, we could figure it out. But I also think it's mysterious that they spent 1.5 days searching the area around that skull and they found nothing. That to me is weird. They should have found bones. They should have found more clothing. His boots that he was wearing should have been found. Sorry. Boots last forever. So anyhow, I appreciate you being here. Thank you very much. Visit our website, anybigfootsearch.com. That's where our online store is. Buy a hat. I'm glad to sign it for you. And my books. Watch my movies online on Amazon. Missing 411, Missing 411, The UFO Connection, Missing 411, The Hunted. 3 movies, 3 documentaries. I guarantee they will hold your interest. Be kind to people. We need more kindness in our world. Extend yourself. Help others. Have a great week. Paulides out.